and up a little bit into the hills, and I'm really glad that you're here. We have representatives from the West County Mandarin School, Dr. Eric Peterson, you can wave, and we have Patty Crespo, who's principal at El Cerrito High School, and we have Lisa Levy from Washington Elementary. Getting set up, we would like you to select your Zoom language. Everybody has to select a language, and you'll come down here to the interpretation little world, and you can select English or select Spanish. And if you're using a tablet or a cell phone, there's going to be 3 dots, and you'll press on that to find your interpretation translation. If at any time you need assistance, if you're having trouble with the sound, interpretation, send a chat, and one of our staff members will respond promptly. And if you're still having trouble, raise your hand or signal, and if I see you, I'll certainly try and help. So today's session will be 75 minutes, and it's going to begin with a set of preset questions. And then we have questions from all of you as time allows. These sessions are recorded, just to know, and they will be posted to the website. We ask for your assistance and that you help fill out a survey for attendance purposes, and you'll receive a gift. The items will be sent in the mail. That's pretty cool. As soon as we get all the information processed. Please complete one form per session. And we have a link for that. We also have the WOVA app. You can explore professional profiles of event speakers and attendees, send in-app messages and exchange contact information, network and find attendees with common affiliations, education, shared networks and social profiles, and receive update notifications from organizers. The event invitation code is EdFair 2021, all one word. And you can download that from the App Store or Google Play. So welcome to the Ed Fair. Goes on all week, started on the 16th and will go until the end of this week on the 23rd. It's put on by West Contra Costa Unified School District and Enroll WCC. Gives parents and caregivers a chance to explore their children's unique needs and learn about the incredible opportunities here in West Contra Costa schools. You can participate in any and all events by attending virtual sessions to both meet representatives from the schools in our community and engage in panel discussions around specific topics like special education, African American student achievement, dual language immersion, mental health services, the benefits of a large comprehensive high school compared to those of smaller schools, and the difference between traditional middle school and K-8 models, and much more. The website is www.wccedfair.com. And at the end, we do have a feedback form. It's just a few questions. Did the session meet your expectations? It's about panel presentation skills, knowledge of topic. Do we meet your needs? How would you rate our sessions? And would you recommend it to a friend? And then immediately after we do the introductions and our time together, we will break apart into the different schools. Just a reminder, if you've joined us for Stige, unfortunately, we had to cancel that event, but please join us at either Washington Elementary or the West County Mandarin School, which are great elementary school options. And those links are here. So you'll press on these different links to go to the individual breakout rooms. And so today it's about the El Cerrito family, and Once again, introducing myself, I'm Leslie Reckler. I'm the trustee for the West Contra Costa Unified School District, trustee Area 5. And these are all schools which are in my area. And we have Washington Elementary, El Cerrito High School, West County Mandarin K-8. And once again, we unfortunately had a cancellation from Stage. And so please, after this is done, jump into one of these other elementary schools to learn about them. So we'll start with some introductions. Once again, so we have Eric Peterson from the West County Mandarin School. You can wave. Lisa Levy, Washington Elementary. And we have Patty Crespo, El Cerrito High School. And would anybody like to go first? Or would the three of us, would you all like to answer the same question first, or would you like to do it by school?
Maybe just take turns.
Okay, great. Okay, can we advance to the questions, please? So we'll start with the leader's vision for the school. Start with Dr. Peterson, if that's okay.
Sure. So West County Mandarin School is the vision of the school is to prepare students to be not just bilingual in Mandarin and English, but to also have international mindedness, to be able to thrive in an increasingly global society that we are in today. So prepare students with those skills where they can not only just know facts, which increasingly you can find facts on places like Google and things like that, or sometimes not actually facts, but to be able to think critically, to be able to analyze information, and to be able to apply their knowledge to real world applications. These are what competitive colleges are looking for. These are what major corporations are looking for. And these are obviously the skills needed for the entrepreneurs of the future. So for us, our real focus is for our students to be able to be prepared to thrive in the global economy. And as part of that, we have the International Baccalaureate program, which our school is in the final stages of candidacy on, which provides an external accountability system that our school follows for our students to be able to learn and develop these skills.
That's great, thank you. Ms. Levy, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So Washington is also a dual immersion school. We are the oldest DI school, dual immersion school in the district. One of the things that makes Washington unique is that the beginning of the program was parent driven. Parents came together and decided this is what they wanted for Washington, and they saw it through, and we've been dual immersion school for 14 or 15 years. We are dual immersion with Spanish as our target language. So we would like our students to be not only bilingual, but bicultural. We spend a lot of time learning about other cultures that are Spanish speaking. And also, like the Mandarin school, we're looking to teach children to think critically and flexibly, and to be able to go back and forth between both languages. I think that's what I have to say on that one.
Okay, great. And do we want to get a perspective from our high school?
Nah, no kidding. Hi, for El Cerrito High School, we serve students in grades 9 through 12, and we really offer a rigorous education in order to provide every one of our students the opportunity to become A through G compliant, and therefore students have the ability to choose what door, what path they want to walk through when they graduate. And my goal as the principal is really to ensure that all of my students, African American, Latino, white, all of my students have the opportunity to go through a door that they want to go through, and that they're not forced to go through only one door after they graduate. Forgive my dogs. I'm sorry, you're going to hear them probably a lot. But really it's to offer opportunities to all of our students, especially our underserved students.
Great, thank you so much. We'll move on to question number 2, and we'll just go in the same order now that we've got it. We'll start with the elementaries and then end up with the high school. What's something that you would want people to know about your school?
Well, for West County Mandarin School, as a dual language immersion school, where students are learning Mandarin Chinese, which is the world's most spoken language, they're also becoming proficient in English. So we have a program where we focus on making sure students develop that proficiency in English as well as proficiency in Mandarin. A key thing for families to know about that is that we are a one-way immersion model, which means that no one needs to come into our school having known any Mandarin prior. There's no prior Mandarin knowledge required to come in. And so parents might think, well, how do I help my child with their homework if I don't speak Mandarin? Well, actually, we give the homework that we do have in a way that doesn't require parents to need to help their child with the Mandarin homework. In fact, majority of our students at our school are not Chinese heritage. We do have kids of Chinese heritage there, but the second biggest percentage of students demographically at our school are actually students who identify as Hispanic or Latinx. And then we also have a sizable population of students who are African American and students Asian backgrounds and all different backgrounds. We're a very diverse school. Thank you.
Well, Washington has a different model for its immersion program. We have what's called a 90-10 model, and that means that starting in kindergarten, children are taught 90% of the day in Spanish, 10% in English. And those percentages change as the child moves up in grades. So in first grade, it's 80-20 and then 70-30. By fourth grade, the students are learning 50% Spanish, 50% English all day long. Our model also requires 50-50 balance of student languages in the classroom. So we try to maintain, as the children go in to kindergarten, 50% of the kids are English speaking and 50% are Spanish speakers, and then they can learn from each other. The children do end up working together and learning, if the child is English speaking and does not understand what's going on, they can watch the Spanish speaking children. Everybody goes for a green crayon. That child knows it's time to get the green crayon out. So that's one of the ways they learn from each other. So I think, so like the Mandarin School, you do not have to have a background in Spanish in order to be in our program. Thank you.
So El Cerrito High School is actually the 6th most diverse high school in the state. We were recognized as the 6th most diverse high school in the state, and that's an amazing privilege. We are incredibly diverse, and I don't just mean racial and ethnic identity. I mean students from low socioeconomic status, mid, high, as well as if you are a transgender LGBTQ student. I really do believe that there is a place for every single student on our campus. We're a very welcoming and warm place. We offer an amazing variety of activities, from band, and we have a phenomenal band program, an amazing jazz dance program. We offer a wide arrangement of sports, rigorous course offerings from college prep to AP courses. We also have an amazing health, JMP, our James Morehouse Project, offers mental health services as well as just general checkups. It's our school-based clinic, but they have been featured on NPR for the amazing work that they do with mental health services. So we really are very cognizant about the needs, the multifaceted needs of our students. We also listen. There's a lot to learn from parents and from our students. I offer Coffee with Crespo every other Friday, where parents are able to ask questions and I'll answer them. And it's an hour-and-a-half session every Friday, and it's been going really, really well this year because of Zoom. So that's great. But there is an abundance of resources on our campus, and again, I think there's a great place for everyone. We have CTE programs, which is a media academy, and an ITA academy. So we're going to start offering school tours in February. So we'll get that information on our website if you're interested.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to question number 3, which is how would parents and students describe your school?
Well, at West County Management School, the students, and this is my goal as a principal, and I think it's accurate, is that students would describe it as a place where learning is fun, where they feel successful, and where they have friends, and where they're treated kindly, and where it's safe. And I would say that parents would describe the school as a environment where it's very community oriented. We have a very close community, a very highly engaged PTA of parents from diverse backgrounds. It's a school where all parents are invited to participate. You don't have to know Mandarin to volunteer. You don't even need to know English to volunteer. We make accommodations for all families to be a part of the school. We have lots of activities that we do, different cultural activities. Not just Chinese cultural activities, but we participate in the Cinco de Mayo parade and the Juneteenth African-American celebrations and Asian Pacific Islander events and National Women's Day and lots of different things that we do to embrace diversity and to celebrate diversity in a way that makes learning fun. And then I think parents also would be very happy about the differentiation we do. We take our instruction and we really look at each child's needs, and the teachers are willing to modify their instruction and adjust it based on those individual needs to help support all students towards being successful academically as well as social emotionally. And I think lastly, parents would be really happy with all the enrichment programs we have, from theater and PE programs and physical education and art programs and social emotional learning as well. Thank you.
I would say that parents and students would describe our school community. We have a very close school community. Kids tend to make friends in kindergarten and stay friends through 6th grade. Parents work closely together. It's not uncommon for Spanish-speaking parents to invite English-speaking children over to do homework. Okay, well, this is before COVID, but you know, to help with the homework so that the English-speaking parents got some support there. We have teachers who've been at the school in the dual immersion program for a long time, outstanding teachers. And we often see parents requesting the teacher that their older child had because they want their child to have that same close experience with the teacher. And students come back year after year to visit teachers that they had before. And I think that speaks a lot for our school and the community that we've developed.
I think that our students would, the majority of them would say that they really love their school, especially the fact that every single child has at least one trusted adult on our campus. And sometimes that might be your teacher, you know, your English teacher from 9th grade, and that's your teacher for, you know, your whole 4 years, or you may pick a teacher every single year that you really develop a great bond with. And that's really, really important for high school students, especially in a large high school like ours. We're probably going to be 1650 next year is what I'm thinking. So that's really, really important. I think our parents would really think that they are very active. We have a very active parent base, and they are incredibly supportive of our community as well through SAF, IAE, PTSA. We have amazing support from our community, and that's really impressive. I also think that parents feel like they can be heard, whether it's contacting me as a principal directly, their students' APs. I also think that parents will also caution and say that your students have to learn how to be independent when it comes to the high school level. And this is really the place to have faith in the people that work at the high school. to let go of your students a little bit and let them be able to manage their learning process so that they are better prepared when they end up going into that real world that may be college, maybe work. When our students graduate, there isn't a parent that can call their kid's boss and say, hey, my kid's going to be out. Or in college, what are my kids' grades? We're really teaching our students how to be, how to self-advocate for themselves and how to really be able to navigate these choppy waters and learn how to, navigate them on their own, and how to find resources on their own, whether it's study groups, all the things that really are going to be skills that they're going to take, with them for life. So I think that's.
And being a parent at the school, I can second that.
of the second baby going through our school.
Okay, we'll move on. And this one is a two-part, but they align. What unique experiences or characteristics are students leaving the school with? And how does your school culture or discipline policy align to this?
Well, at West County Mandarin School, we teach something called the International Baccalaureate Program, which I referenced earlier, which has something called the learner profile. And it's specific characteristics that we really foster in the students, because we focus on fostering the growth of the whole child, not just students' academic growth. You're not just going to see our students in there practicing math, for example, in the school. That's not what it looks like. You'll see kids at tables, collaboratively working together, learning English, learning Mandarin, learning science, learning math, learning different art, and doing subjects together, in a project-based format. And that really develops the whole child. And so our discipline policy really feeds on that. Of course, what a key value of any school, a key priority is always fostering a safe environment, but not just physically safe. We also foster an environment where students feel emotionally safe, a caring environment where students feel comfortable to take risks. That's one of the attributes of the IB learner profile, is for students to become risk takers, students to feel comfortable raising their hand and sharing an idea and not being afraid that someone's going to say, oh, that's not a good question, or anything like that. So students can feel comfortable to grow and explore their own personal development areas. And so in that regard, we do something called restorative justice at our school. Doesn't mean that we don't have consequences. We're necessary for safety of the school, but we focus on restoring harm that has necessarily been created. If a child hurts another child's feelings, for example, we may have a circle where the students know there's a format and a system in place where students can share, how they felt when someone hurt the other student's feelings. And then the students can talk about how they can repair the harm and build that friendship and rebuild that community. So that's a real important value of our school. And, again, we focus, of course, on a very strong safety emphasis in our school, but we find that when we take a holistic view of student learning and growth, and we proactively teach students social skills. We don't expect students already to know how to get along. We teach them how to get along. We teach them great characteristics that definitely prevents, discipline problems from happening in the first place.
Washington students leave Washington with all kinds of unique characteristics. We do like to have children learn to be collaborative and imaginative. I think that a good imagination is a big part of learning, and to be independent. Not only should they be able to work together, but they should be able to work independently and be confident while they're doing either one, working with others or working independently. The teachers emphasize empathy and kindness. 3 of our big school rules are be kind, be fair, and be responsible. So take responsibility for your actions. Everybody makes mistakes, but they can be treated as a moment in time to learn from that mistake and to learn from the reaction of people around you from what happened. We meet with both kids. When there is a misunderstanding or a problem of an issue of some kind, children can go off by themselves to work in the Peace Corner and talk about it together and work through the problem and then come back to the teacher with their solution. And if it's a bigger kind of issue, there can be a class meeting around it to discuss it so that the entire class can learn from what's going on. So yeah, that's what I think we've got.
At EC, we do a lot of the same restorative practices that the two elementary schools mentioned. Our JMP, again, our James Morehouse project, develops students to become culture keepers. And our culture keepers end up creating like harm reduction circles. If there's an issue going on with two students or between a student and a teacher, our culture keepers will help mediate that in order to come to a common and better understanding where different groups of people learn to work together. Our students, I think, leave our campus with the amazing experience of knowing how to be able to work with all kinds of people from all walks of life. And we were able to do that because we are such a diverse school. It really is a unique experience to be able to transverse all these different kinds of things and have students from all different backgrounds have lunch together. The quad is full, the cafeteria, is fun. We have music on Fridays from every single kind of background. And so our students are able to really leave with a wider view of the world. As our world becomes, easier to access, and traveling internationally and living internationally becomes easier for our students, I think that really ends up preparing them really, really well. The other thing that I really push our teachers and our students to do is to take risks, because failure is your best teacher. And that's sometimes hard for parents to hear because they don't think failure is an option, but without failure, you don't know what success is. And so I'm constantly pushing my teachers to try something new in order so that they can evolve as practitioners, and in order to allow our students to try new mediums of learning. And that's really, really important. I also think that our students are going to be the ones that are going to solve the problems that we've created for the past few decades. And so I have a lot of faith in them taking care of us, running our world once we begin to get older and crumble. Let's see. I also think that a lot of our students are aware of things like institutionalized racism, sexism, a lot of barriers that are not created or built by them, but that unfortunately impact them or their best friends, their colleagues. And this is why getting an amazing education can be the most empowering and liberating faction, in my opinion, where we really want to push our students to use their education to liberate themselves and their communities and make this world a better place. That's something that really is dear and near to my heart. I think the last thing I want to say is that when it comes to discipline, I really try to move away from the fact where students may have done something that is bad, but that does not mean that they are a bad child or a bad kid or a bad student. They may have made a bad mistake and that failure is going to teach them. That does not make them a bad person. And I espouse that very often with our kids because they come through my office, I see them coming in and out. And I think it's really important that as families and as parents, we constantly say that to our kids, and that in school, we constantly remind our kids about that. They're amazing human beings. They've got all the potential. We've got to make them believe that they do. We can't say that they're bad because they made a mistake. If anything, we should, be proud of the fact that they've learned through that mistake. And that's important at the elementary, middle, and high school level, and as adults.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have some time for questions here. To ask your question out loud, you're going to use the raise hand button, and you'll see it at the bottom in the little toolbar. Hopefully. And we will take any questions if anybody has them. Okay, and I see we have a question from Teresa Hernandez. You can unmute now. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm ready. Hola, muy buenas tardes. Hello, good evening. My question is, ahora con Zoom, con las clases en línea, ¿cómo pueden trabajar con la pronunciación? Esa es una de mis preguntas cuando se tiene que hacer por los exámenes que vienen. ¿Y qué apoyo extra reciben los aprendices de inglés para ser proficientes en inglés cuando salen del programa de doble inversión? Gracias.
¿Es una pregunta para todos o para una persona en particular?
Realmente me gustaría oír la versión de cada escuela.
Do you guys need translation for that question? Is there a translator?
Yeah, so we have Otilia, I think. Otilia, are you going to throw that back into English for the panelists?
And
Patty, I think you're on.
I can help. I don't know, but she was asking about what is it that now through Zoom, through online distance learning, how is it that we're supporting better pronunciation for EL students to be able to understand lecture, and then what resources are available for EL students, and how can we ensure that when they leave our schools that they're walking away with a mastery of English, learning as a second language.
Buenas tardes. Entonces, en la escuela de mandarín estamos enfocando en Zoom, clases de Zoom en vivo, porque entendemos que los estudiantes necesitan practicar para hablar y escuchar, especialmente en los grados primarios. Este es muy importante también para aprender cómo leer la lectura. Entonces, tenemos mucho tiempo para los estudiantes para practicar en vivo en Zoom su pronunciación en mandarín y en inglés. So I just got a message that we do have an interpreter doing the, so I can, yeah. But basically just to explain that we understand that speaking and listening is really critical for students at an early age. And of course, with online learning, that makes it challenging. So our teachers have really focused on maximizing their teaching and learning time to be on Zoom, where it's live, instead of having students do independent work. Because especially with the younger students, they need time to practice speaking and listening, to have opportunities to speak to one another and the teacher. And we have different classes as well. We have English language development class, which is also live on Zoom every day with English learners. And then we also have a Mandarin language development class, and then just the regular core classes, which are on Zoom. So, distance learning is a struggle. It's definitely not the same as in person, of course, but we try to do the best we can, looking at what's most important. And I would say our English teachers, their biggest focus right now in distance learning is just teaching students to, how to read, phonemic awareness, especially in the lower grades. They're not spending as much time on some of the other subject areas in English. They're saying, okay, if we can just teach our kid one thing that's most important to set them up for success during distance learning, let's really focus on teaching them how to read in English. So they're really focusing on that.
Any other school want to comment on that?
I was going to add to Mr. Peterson that, yeah, we have ELD classes and SLD, Spanish language development, daily for our kids. And that teachers work with pronunciation with our students as they hear the students talking in either language. They'll stop and help the student to say it correctly, but not make a big deal out of it. Just correct it and move on. And then, and I think that that's an effective way for students to work on their pronunciation. And And that's what we do on a daily basis. We just keep on, and Mr. Peterson's right. It's different in distance learning.
Yeah,
Very different.
for sure.
So answer in English, correct? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's translation.
Thank you. So at the high school level, our students, El Cerrito High School is on a block schedule, which means that students complete a whole year's worth of a class in one semester. From August to January is one whole year. And then from January to June is a whole year. All of our ELD students are in ELD classes first and second semester. So they have that class every single day that really is focused on learning how to speak and read in English as well as enunciate. And those are live classes with their teachers every day for the 2 semesters. We also offer a lot of sheltered courses like sheltered algebra, which is for students who are ELD students. They're learning English as a second language. And so there are a lot of visuals, a lot of manipulatives, things that students can use to help them better understand a concept that is being taught. If it's being taught in English, there's many strategies teachers use in order to help students better understand and learn how to speak things in English in those courses. And those are much smaller classes as well. They rarely will have more than 20 students because there is so much targeted attention and focus on English development as a skill at the high school level. We also have like an ELAC, a youth advisory. We're one of the few schools that really has that kind of great support. It's run by Lucero from the JMP, and they meet every single week to support each other and to really ask for resources when they find it necessary. Our youth ELAC is an amazing and powerful group of students.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for our panelists?
So we actually have questions coming in through the Whova app as well that I'm happy
Oh, great.
to throw out there. This one, I believe, is to everyone. Quickly, how many students attend each of your schools?
We have about 440, roughly.
Eric, you want to go?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to help our PTA parent log into a PTA meeting at the exact same time. But our students, believe it or not, double booked tonight. But we have 300 students currently. We are, we're at our max right now with a waiting list. And then every year we add additional classes. We're a growing school. So we started out our first year with just kindergarten. Next year we became K1 school and then K1-2 school. This year we're a kindergarten, first, second, third grade school. Next year we'll be adding a fourth grade school and adding approximately another 60, 70 students to the school. Thanks.
El Cerrito High is currently at 1,600. We were originally slated to start at about 1,670, but then COVID happened. So I think that next year will probably be between 1,650 and 1,700, and there is always a waiting list. So I encourage, if families want to transfer in, to do that quickly. Also, even if you live in the area and you're a resident, there is a point where we close because our enrollment we can't take any more students. So I think about 1,650 to 1,700 next year.
Okay. All right. I also have a question in the chat. Patty, I may need some help on this. My students have studied since kindergarten in the DLI program, and now they're on their way to, is that high school? And I want to know I want to know about the math.
She wants to know if they'll be able to take math and Spanish at the high school level.
Take math and Spanish. Okay.
So math will be in sheltered courses, Algebra 1 in June.
Oh, in Spanish. Oh, okay, you got it. Okay, yeah.
Currently, the DLI program that was being offered it's on pause because we don't have a DLI teacher, and the only courses that were being offered in Spanish were history courses. I don't foresee math ever being offered in Spanish, but again, that could change. We have to also be cognizant of the fact that we tried offering an AP World History class in Spanish, and it didn't work very well because terms that were being learned in Spanish when the students were taking the AP World History exam, it was really hard for them to sometimes translate that. So at the high school level, it's really different. It's really difficult.
I have another one from the app. What parent committees exist at your school?
Well, at West County Mandarin School, we have the African American Parent Advisory Committee or Site Advisory Team. It's it's a committee of African American parents that work together to support all students, but really specifically African American students and African American student achievement. And we're even allied. That group is actually allied with a Bay Area group called PASS, which is Parents of African American Students Studying Chinese. So it's a really great parent committee. And then we also have our ELAC, English Learner Advisory Committee, composed of diverse parents, particularly parents of students who speak Spanish at home or English learners. And additionally, our PTA really has a lot of subcommittees. For example, we have a parent group at the PTA that's just focused on finding enrichment programs and activities that could be brought to the school to enhance it, like art classes and awareness classes and social emotional learning classes. Their parents are starting sports teams in the community for our kids to play in. And then we have other parent committees that are concerned with our school site and improving our school site and advocating for improvements to the school site with the school board and others. And then, we have other committees that are involved with, volunteerism and writing grants for our school to pay for new things. So lots of different groups. And then today we just had our school site committee meeting. So earlier today, where we have a group of diverse parents and teachers and staff that meet together to review our school budget and to advise and make plans for our school. So a lot of different opportunities for parent engagement and involvement and, and parent leadership as well.
Ms. Levy, would you like to address parent groups? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. We have the same parent groups that the Mandarin School has. We have the ELAC committee, the school site council committee, which reviews budgets and school plan, and the ASAT committee, the African American Student Achievement Committee, that meets twice a month. We have a strong PTA. In fact, there's a PTA meeting going on right now at my school as well. So I understand you're trying to watch both, Mr. Peterson.
And at El Cerrito High, we have many of the same groups. We have our African American Parent Advisory Group, our ELAC, which is for EL, parents of EL students, School Site Council. Our Student Activity Fund is an umbrella organization that supports a lot of our athletic booster programs, like cheer parents, basketball, girls volleyball are boosters for athletics. And we have Friends of El Cerrito Music, which is our band parents as well. And under SAF, we have IAE, which is Investing in Academic Excellence, which really focuses on academics and providing resources to our teachers and students to improve academics. There are many, many parent groups. And if there isn't one, you can always try to
Pick one up.
So let's, get together and do that.
Okay, great.
We have one more question on the comments. It says, how do you help your students get reclassified?
You guys want to take turns or?
Who's going first? But well, for us, for reclassification, we really just look at the research and we, at what's been most effective for reclassifying students. I used to be principal of Dover Elementary before I was principal at the Mandarin School, which is in San Pablo, and has a Spanish dual immersion program. And it's also, well, I guess it was a TBE program, different type of immersion program. But we had a lot of English learners there as well. And what we really did to focus on was we looked at the data, exactly what the needs were for those specific students to reclassify. And our teachers made specific plans for each child based on, okay, where does the child need to improve? Maybe this child's actually really good at speaking in English. And so we don't need to be wasting time focusing on speaking, but where they're really struggling is writing in English. So we need to spend more time on writing with this particular student. And maybe we'd have a level group which is just focused on writing so that student can get their needs specifically met in that area, and vice versa with other needs, for example. So that's what I've seen to be most effective for schools that have the highest rates of reclassification, is where they really look, they don't do one size fits all type of teaching where all English learners are together in a room and they're learning the same lesson, even if it doesn't apply to their needs. But instead they do leveled grouping and they look at data to individualize the instruction and really focus on getting those students reclassified as soon as possible.
I would echo what Mr. Peterson says. We found at Washington that generally it is the writing that trips the kids up. And so that's a big focus at Washington for those kids who are trying to reclassify. That's what we work on the most with them.
By the time students get to high school, they oftentimes tend to be long-term English learners, which means that they haven't really acquired academic language that is really necessary when they're writing, when they're testing. So there's a big focus on improving academic language. We also want to be able to teach our students about the whole reclassification process. By the time they're in high school, they understand that that dumb test they take every year is really, really important and it's not that dumb. And so that gives them a sense of ownership and really power, because they understand where it is that they need to be able to focus. So they do have their ELD teachers all years if they're in ELD, in the ELD program for 4 years, if they haven't been reclassified. And with their ELD teachers, they're able to focus on the grades that they get in their different courses at school. They have a lot of sheltered courses as well. And so the ELD teachers meet once a week. They have a common prep and they're able to work on grades that students are getting and concepts that will help them improve for the LPAC test.
Great, thank you.
All right, I have one from the app. I'm assuming this is going to go to Principal Crespo. Can you explain what a CTE pathway program is? And maybe if you can, I know you mentioned earlier what academies you offer, maybe reiterating what specifically they are.
Sure. CT is California Technical Education, and there's funding that comes from the state for that. So our Media Academy really focuses on a wide array of media, radio station, TV news, and also internet, using the internet as a form of medium. So students learn how to be able to work in those three mediums per grade level, 10th, 11th, and 12th. The CT program is from grades. Students start in grade 10 and they matriculate out in grade 12. And a lot of students, if they're able to finish the coursework, they can end up getting a certificate of completion for that as well. So we have the Media Academy, and we also have ITA Academy, which is our Tech Futures Academy, where students learn how to do coding, do a lot of they'll take a AP computer science course as seniors. So it's really based on computer science. Again, that program is again for 3 years as well. And there's other high schools that have different CTE programs like nursing or law, things that may interest students. There are many CTE programs in the district. You don't have to just go to El Cerrito High and do those.
Great, thank you. Sarah, anything else on your end?
I have one more, but I think Ms. Crespo already answered it, but I can ask it again. This question I'm trying to decipher here. I think it's asking what is the likelihood if a student is trying to transfer to El Cerrito High School from within the district, what's the likelihood that they'll get in?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? I had to let my dog in.
Oh, no worries. So it's asking, and you touched on this earlier, for a student who wants to transfer into El Cerrito High School from within the district, what's the likelihood that they'll get in?
It depends, obviously, on what the how many students we have coming in. I can tell you that last year's freshman class, which is this year's sophomore class, is my biggest class. That class will probably be closed as they become juniors. I don't know that I'll have any room for incoming juniors next year, but I try to always keep it around 400, 410. And so I may be able to take, like our freshman class was really down this year. So I was able to take 30 freshmen. It depends on the numbers that are coming in. I won't have a good view of the numbers until I would say March or April, but we get the waiting list for students at every grade level. There might be, 50 in freshmen, 30. Normally I have about 150 students on a waiting list, and some people, will get in immediately, quickly, and some people will wait a couple of years. And that just depends on what's coming in that year. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer.
And then Sarah, do you see this last question in the chat about choosing your university with the program? Is that what that says? Patty,
It's a
maybe?
little vague. It's asking if you can get into any university with the programs that she was describing on the CT.
Oh, I see. Okay. Got it.
And I would basically say that there is no program or child that can get into any university, right? It takes a lot of things. It takes the SAT scores. If they're UCs and CSUs aren't taking those right now, but private schools are still, many of them are still using that. But your GPA is probably one of the most important aspects that students can actually control. So we always have them focus on their grades. The more competitive you become by taking more AP courses, the better chance that you'll have to get into a really competitive school. But nobody is guaranteed admission into any college except community colleges.
Right, you are all clear on my end from the app.
Okay. Okay, so from there, we have in the chat the different Zoom links if you wish to enter a Zoom just for each of these schools. If you want to